you're ready, go ahead if you have any questions for Jessica.
Yes, I do actually. It's been a rough year for you. You had a decision overturned. You lost a very close split decision. What's your mindset like right now?
I mean, my mindset's completely different than I've ever had in my entire life. I feel like for the first time, like I really grew up. Like I'm finally thinking like an adult. I'm thinking like a true professional, and I realize that my career relies on it. And it's not fair that I had the start that I had, but it was my own fault. And I've been working extremely hard since February. That I don't think people are going to recognize the Jessica that's going to be back in the UFC cage. I can't wait, and I'm not pushing for any specific dates because the more time that I have is more time I have to prepare, and the more I get to study all of these other females while they continue to fight. I don't believe in ring rust, so.
There isn't anybody in particular that you've asked Joe Silva, like you'd like to fight that person? Or?
I'd like them all. I mean, it's a process of elimination. Like, if I've already fought you one time, like, step aside, let's fight someone new. I think that's a good mindset to have, and I don't have to adjust to a specific female. I can just train for all of them, I mean, Misha, Ronda, I mean, Liz, there's so many high-level name females, Sarah McMahon, all of them. And I know that I can compete with the best of the best. That's why I'm here.
Well, speaking of Ronda, how excited are you about the title fight next Saturday?
I'm pumped about it. I mean, considering I know that when Alexis gives her a lot harder time than she's expecting, it just makes me look that much better. So I'm definitely hoping for a little bit more of a war. And I think people are kind of underestimating Alexis. Like, I didn't realize once we got down on the ground that she was as strong as she was and was able to neutralize me. So, I mean, with a world-class jiu-jitsu game like that, I mean, it's going to stylistically match up with Ronda, I think, very well.
You had such a close fight with Alexis, and people thought that, you actually won that fight, and, the decision. Seeing that she got the title shot, is that you wonder, like, have few, things went your way in that fight, maybe you'd be getting the title shot?
100%. 100% I know that it was. And the UFC's given me opportunities to prove myself. I have to be the one to take a hold of the situation and really, truly, rise up to it. So, like I said, I'm excited to see that fight next week because I know that Alexis is going to give an amazing fight, and that's going to make me look better. And I think it'll continue to show people that I'm a force to be reckoned with. Just because I've had a rough year doesn't mean that I don't have more fights in my contract that I can't prove myself.
You think she's going to have a tough fight, but do you think she's going to win, Alexis?
You know what? I've never one of those people that is like you can't predetermine fights like that. I mean, anything can happen. I mean, what happens if a cut happens and the fight gets stopped that way? So, I don't know. I don't like to predict it, but I definitely think that it will be a great fight between both of them.
One of the things that Ronda said about her title defense against Sarah McMahon, she said that Sarah wasn't ready to be champion, that Sarah didn't want to really be champion, and that's why she lost the fight. She wasn't ready for the attention and all the hoopla that comes with being the champion. What do you think of that statement, and do you think that you're different, or do you think that if you had a chance, you'd be different?
I don't think anybody is given the right as a female or a male to even say that because none of us know each other on a personal level. I mean, how can you make a statement like that when you don't know if someone's ready or not? I mean, maybe I wasn't ready to fight, but that doesn't mean that they have all the tools. They're a great speaker, a good person, a huge advocate for the sport. I mean, just because you don't win a fight doesn't mean that you're not technically ready for it. I mean, there's other aspects to it. So I think that it's kind of a hard statement to make. I mean, I think a champion can make that statement only because it's their title and they're holding it.
How do you feel about the new women coming in? There's a lot of talk about Holly Holm. There's a lot of talk about Gina Carano. Do you think that they should fight one of you guys before they even get a shot at Ronda, or do you think they deserve the right to fight Ronda?
Oh, certainly. I most certainly think that they should because all of the women that have already been here, we've earned our way. I don't think that anyone deserves an automatic title shot. I mean, I don't think that in any sport. I mean, that doesn't happen in basketball, football, anything. They don't just let someone automatically go into the Super Bowl. You got to earn your way there. So I believe in earning your way. I believe climbing up that ladder, beating the right people so that you get the fight that you want.
Would you like to be one of those fighters that welcomes one of them?
I would love to be one of those fighters that welcome them.
I assume you want to take a fight before the end of the year, right? Before the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ideally, like, in my mind, I'm thinking sometime between, like, September, October, November, but before December. So I'm assuming before December. But I've had layoffs like this before. I had a previous injury where I hurt my back, and I had to take some time off. So my schedule, the way that it runs, I train every day, and I spar all the time. I'm not scared of not being in the UFC cage. I'm not scared of not being in there all the time. So it just gives me more time to prepare and get better.
Can you catch us up to like what you've been up to in general since the last fight up to now? Like, have you stayed away from the public eye at all, or made any conscious effort to stay away from the media or anything like that?
Yes, I did. I really did. You know, I had some family issues that really needed to be addressed, and some things that really need to take care of, and I need to do some repairing with myself. I think people cease to realize that I have 25 fights. I've only lost 2. That one was heartbreaking to me. The first fight I ever lost, you know, I lost because I got submitted. So you kind of know you lost. And this last fight, I did not feel like I lost, but I definitely felt like I didn't do enough to win. And that's just like losing. So it was kind of heartbreaking for me for a while. And I took a good 5 weeks, put on probably 20 pounds of bad weight that I shouldn't have. And it's made the last couple, months really exciting. Like, it remotivated me in a way that it was like I almost refound myself in fighting. And I couldn't be any more happier with my training, where my skill set has been, and where my mindset is, and that's important.
Did Dana White...
Family issues, like what have you done to repair those family issues? I mean, your father was a very central figure in that letter that you wrote to the commission.
You know, it's hard when you guys only, and in all the media as well as people, is that you don't know everyone's story. And how can I sit there and address it to you guys in a way that you'll understand the pain, or understand the happiness that I've encountered? I think we all can understand that families have their problems, and each family has their problems, and however they do. And it's been a very, very hard relationship between me and my father since I was a little girl, and I've done nothing but try to be the best daughter, and I've realized it's hindering me. So I've taken a step back to make sure that the rest of my life and myself, I feel good about myself, but I have to provide for myself. Fighting is how I make my money. It's how I live. And if I'm not fighting, if I'm losing sponsorship because of mistakes that are happening, I mean, I can't afford that. So I've kind of sheltered myself a little bit. And my family is strong style too, in a lot of ways. I mean, I have that tattoo on my back for a reason. It's a strong style fight family. Family doesn't always have to be blood.
Did Dana White give you any kind of pep talk after that loss, saying, it was a bad decision and that not to worry about it too much because you'd be back soon?
No, I actually had seen him say something about, he actually had me winning the fight, which, kind of boosted me a little bit and kind of picked me up. But, regardless, what happened, I still lost it. So, but what was really cool is 2 weeks after it, they invited me out to a seminar, and I was like, oh, man, they invited me to, work with all the Fox people. So I was like, oh, wow, this is awesome. Like, he still believes in me, and UFC still believes in me, and that means a lot to me.
And the fans clearly do too. You had a huge crowd in Chicago when I was there at the Q&A. It was line all the way around the building of people wanting to see you.
Right, and even last night, like, I couldn't believe the people that were coming up to me at the fight show I was at, and even at weigh-ins. Like, it really makes me feel good. And without the fans, without the people, without the media, like, I do realize that it's hard for us to be better. So I do welcome everyone with open arms until you try to slander me, then I don't like you no more.
There was
I'm done.
a lot of people, like you said, who thought that you won that last fight. The fight before that, a lot of people thought that you lost that fight. Have you learned a lesson about how important it is to finish fights?
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, you're in the UFC. Going to decision is, that's actually a good thing for both fighters. It's hard. You're dealing with the best of the best. No fight's going to be able to be planned out perfectly. So yes, I do now know I am not going to the judges. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of that achy feeling in my heart where I think I did, but I'm not sure. And I've got plenty of other ways I can win. It's just time to go out there and what am I waiting for? I'm in the UFC. This is the highest level. It's time to let go of the inhibitions and just go for it.
Earlier in your career, you kind of fought at a lighter weight. Do you feel 135 is your best fit, or do you feel that you could drop the weight if you needed to and drop down to straw weight?
At this point, I could probably never get back to flyweight at 125. 125 was always a hard cut for me already. I was able to do it. I didn't do it healthy. I wouldn't eat, we had to do the water cut on top of it. And it's about performing, isn't it? You don't take a high-profile race car and put bad gas in it. You put the top. So I'm liking the fact that I'm able to compete at 35, and it's not that bad of a cut for me. I got to cut 6 pounds, but I'm able to get bigger. I'm able to get bigger, faster, stronger.
Speaking of the crowds, you're pretty embraced last night at the local event. How do you feel San Antonio is going to be tonight? This is the first UFC event in San Antonio. Do you think they're going to embrace the UFC, light this place up a little bit?
I do because I've been to the Houston show, and I know that I just know how Texas kind of works. And they're really all about fighting. So I think they're going to absolutely love it, and I think that they'll be back again. It's a cool city how it's all set up. It's very fight ready.
Do you feel like as they're gradually building the women's roster, do you think that the UFC is holding enough women's fights at this point and keeping everybody as active as
Oh
should
yeah, I do. I mean, all the girls have been very busy. I mean, most of us females, I mean, you're making enough money in those fights too that you're able to survive through the year. So 2 fights are good, 2 to 3. You know, I mean, when you fight in your earlier years, it's about getting the experience, but you're at the top level. It's about focusing on that fight, making sure that you accomplish what you're supposed to, and that's a win. And they're doing a great job. I mean, I couldn't be any happier with it. I've been with other organizations, and they treat us females like we're queens. So I'm very excited for the 115 to be able to get experience at this life.
Have you had any spoilers from Ultimate Fighter 20? Do you know anything?
Nope. I know some people are going to be there, but I'm excited for these girls. I've got a chance to, I know some of them, and I've trained with them, so they deserve that opportunity too. They work just as hard.
Yeah, they tore it up in Invicta, so
They
they took that whole weight class pretty much and brought it over. So
They did, which is, hey, you know what? There's a future now. The future is that there will be more females to be able to build up in the 115 to be able to come into the UFC. It's awesome.